What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Accolonn here, and welcome back to each of one of you. And of course, if this is your first time with us, I am very happy to have you here. Today's video is brought to you by a comment on one of my previous videos. It is the one about the old gods and the Maw. Now, the comment is from Yodigi Villa, and he asked, also, why did Argus's soul go to the Arbiter if Titan souls would go to a titanic plane? This really got me thinking, because at the time when it was confirmed in Shadowlands that it was Argus's soul that took down the Arbiter, I remember asking the exact same question, and at the time, the best argument there was for it is that Argus is the Unmaker, all of his abilities are death-focused, and therefore Argus is a Titan of Death, thereby the Shadowlands is where he should have gone. And at the time, there was nothing wrong with that theory. There was no real way of pushing back on that theory. The end of Shadowlands, however, I believe throws that entire theory out of whack. Because at the end of Shadowlands, we venture to Zereth Mortis. In Zereth Mortis, we find that Eternal Ones, or the Titans of Death, aren't born the same way that Titans are. Remember, Titans are souls' energies that basically settled near stars, and because of their incredible mass, their gravity attracted matter. The matter eventually formed planets around them, and the nascent Titan would then be born from within this planet. The Eternal Ones have a very different origin story. Their origins are literally a 3D printing machine, where they're printed and then sent on their way. We see prototypes of all of the Eternal Ones in Zereth Mortis, none of Argus or even of other Titans. It is the Eternal Ones. There are prototypes, meaning there is a trial and error system. But Argus's origin story is the same as that of the Titans. A world soul inside a planet, corrupted by Sargeras, eventually birthed, ripping the planet almost apart in his birth. That's a Titan. Now, according to Steve Denuser himself, Titans are born, and when they die, they return to the worlds of order. Because all cosmological forces upon their death will return to their origin cosmic power. The old gods, for example, upon death, will return to the void. Death, the demons, upon their death, returns to the twisting nether. It is only once you kill them within this other plane that they then die. This also opens a wonderful bit of speculation about mortals. Why do mortals venture to the lands of death? Could it be that we are beings of death? We are the army of death? If all beings return to their cosmological place within the universe, then mortals returning to the lands of death kind of makes sense that we would probably have something in common with death. So there is something interesting there. Might also actually describe a little bit about Xal'atath and why he refers to himself as the god of death. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is the theory that we're going to be tackling today, and it is actually going to go much deeper. There's a deal on the table. Let me know if you'll take it. If you enjoy this video, and if you agree with what I have to say, I want you at the end of the video to hit the like button. If not, you hit the dislike button, and we both pretend as if this never happened. Right? I think that's a good deal. As always, if you're a patron or a YouTube channel member, your place is on the screen. You're on there right now. Thank you so much for the support. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. So as I already explained, the original rebuttal of Argus's birth and also Argus's death is one that doesn't make a lot of sense, nor does it have any real place now that the Shadowlands is over, now that we've gotten to see Zereth Mortis. But this then leaves the door open. What exactly happened to Argus? Why exactly did Argus end up within the Shadowlands? And more specifically, where is Argus now? And we'll get to that, I promise. But let's start focusing on what sent Argus to the Shadowlands. So right off the bat, let me just come out and say it. I believe that Argus ended up in the Shadowlands because of the old gods. I believe that the old gods, at the moment of his death, influenced where he was going. They pushed him towards the place that they needed him to be, and this gets even more scary as time goes on. You might be saying, Accolonn, there's no evidence that the old gods can do that. Well, on the contrary, there's actually a lot of evidence that the old gods can do that. And in my old god video, I jump into a lot more detail on exactly that. But for now, let's just go briefly. If you read the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron, every single whisper within it has to do with the Maw. It describes the giant tower that basically nothing breathes under its shadow, the giant rook that watches from the trees. It is consistently speaking about the Maw. It's describing the Maw, the ancient city where only dead things walk, only mad things walk there. We see that within the Maw. Then there's this whisper from Xal'atath herself. Another seed of corruption planted in death. An unquiet spirit will wander in anger and grow in pain. Easy prey for the god of the deep. Suggesting the old gods absolutely have the ability to reach the dead. How exactly, we don't yet know. I have a theory that suggests that this power is given to them through Azeroth. Just quickly, as an aside here, we're told by Steve Denuser that every single being in the universe, upon their death, returns to their original cosmic force. So, the cosmology that birthed them is the place that they will go. If you wish to kill them permanently, they must be killed within their realm. It is fascinating to me that the beings of the great beyond, upon their death, goes to death. If the theory holds true, if Steve Denuser is correct, this would give us some link with death. Azeroth is a being that was directly in the crosshairs of both Sargeras and of Zuvul. Why? Why Azeroth? Could it be that Azeroth is the link to death? Through Azeroth, the old gods found their link to death. But another seed of corruption is planted in death, and it will grow in anger and pain. Easy prey for the god of the deep. There is another whisper from Xal'atath, one that is actually far more on the nose than that one. Upon reaching the seat of the Pantheon, Xal'atath says the following. Long have we sought entry into this realm. To think we have a mortal to thank for giving us our foothold. Your service will be remembered. We know that the void was absolutely present within the fight on the Pantheon. We know this because when Argus kills all of us, we go into a realm that is filled with void creatures. This is the other side. Argus killed us. We were sent to the other side, probably at that point awaiting the arrival of the Kyrian. But coincidentally, it is also filled with void entities that we have to avoid and then be rebirthed in. Upon Argus's death, could it be that his soul too, for a moment, crossed over to the other side? It was at this point that the old god creatures, the corruption that Xal'atath brought with her into this realm, penetrated him, filled his soul, and then redirected him. Pay attention to the cinematic, where Argus's soul drives into the Arbiter. Just before it hits, and I really hope that Alex will show you the cinematic and also highlight the sound. There is a sound, a scream that takes place just before it hits the Arbiter, suggesting a Titan in pain, suggesting that Argus was not heading to the Shadowlands in peace, having died, having shed his corrupted skin and corrupted body. Argus's soul was in torment as it was hurtling towards the Arbiter.
Until...
But now, since we're on that cinematic, pay attention to what happens. Argus' soul strikes the Arbiter. The Arbiter writhes in pain. And then we see, well, this is where things get really bonkers. We see Argus' soul almost permeate throughout the whole of Oribos. Literally just running down it. We never found Argus' soul. Neither did we find the void corruption that was probably present within his soul. This suggests that Argus is still somewhere inside Oribos? And I'll direct you to his title. He is called the Unmaker. What could an Unmaker do literally in the seat of power of the Shadowlands, given enough time? Consider the amount of pain and agony that Argus is in. There is a good chance that one day we will be called back because the Shadowlands is dying again, and this time due to Argus. The greater question, however, in all of this is, who planned this? Who did this? Was this solely Sargeras? Was this Sargeras serving Zuvul? Because at the end of the day, none of this really worked out. At least not the way that they were hoping. So why? Why do this? What was the plan? There's one more element that I wish to highlight about this theory before I get into the true speculation here. Azeroth. What is this obsession with Azeroth that everyone seems to have? Sargeras, according to the Codex of the Scepter of Sargeras, for those of you that didn't play Warlock back in Legion, the weapon that Destruction Warlocks had, I think it was Destruction. Yes, because Thalkiel was the one for the Demonology Warlocks, and Ulthalesh was the one for... Yeah, the Scepter of Sargeras for Destruction Warlocks. Its Codex had a passage where we're told that Sargeras was completely infatuated with Azeroth. This happened after Sargeras fell through the core of Azeroth, and Azeroth opened her eye. Upon looking on Azeroth, Sargeras became infatuated with her, completely enamored with her, obsessed, as it were. Zuvul seems to have the exact same obsession. Zuvul gets into Zereth Mortis. He speaks about the unmaking of the universe. And at the center of his plan is the death of Azeroth. What is it about Azeroth that draws them all throughout the universe? Every single cosmological force has Azeroth in its sights. Sargeras, completely obsessed with it. The demons, everything they do is about getting to Azeroth and ultimately conquering Azeroth. Death with Zuvul we see as Azeroth as well. The literal back door into the Shadowlands is also part of Azeroth, the dream. The dream was created by Azeroth. You have Elune, sent to the great beyond as I don't know what, a massive presence right on Azeroth's doorstep with one of Azeroth's moons literally being called Elunaria, and most likely her home or her prison, I haven't decided yet. Everything seems to be about this little planet in our universe. What makes this planet so special? as I've already explained. I believe that this has something to do with us being the agents of death. This is why we go to death upon our own deaths. But also our link to Azeroth seems to deter ultimate death. We cannot die due to this link that we have to Azeroth, suggesting that Azeroth might not even be of this planet or of this cosmos. Azeroth might be something entirely different, and we, as her warriors, as her chosen, have become something different entirely. A sort of force against the forces, if you will. So back to Argus. If I am correct, and it is indeed the void that sent Argus to the Shadowlands, this means that not only have we not killed all of the old gods, and again, if you want to know exactly what I'm referring to here, you need to click the link in the top right hand corner there. You have to watch that video. But not only have we not killed the old gods, we have actively been serving the old gods all this time. All throughout Legion, it is Xal'atath that directs us. At no point does Xal'atath suggest that we're doing the wrong thing. At no point does Xal'atath warn the priest that the priest needs to turn back, that this is not the right way. In fact, Xal'atath seems to revel in everything that transpires all throughout Legion. Remember, the old gods do see all things. So, as a result of this, every path is probably planned for in one way or another. Xal'atath herself states this upon the Broken Shore, where she whispers to the player, "It was here, in ages past, that the god of the deep lost a great battle to the god of seven heads. But as was so often the case, even defeat ultimately worked in Azoth's favor." What if everything we have done so far? First, we stop Sargeras. He reaches the planet, but not in time. The Titans pull him back. Yes, he stabs the sword into Azeroth. This leads Azeroth to bleed. This also leads to the weakening of N'Zoth's prison and the ultimate freeing of Azshara. But all of this leads to the ripping open of the Maw. The blood of the old god is what sets events in motion. Sylvanas burns the tree. The Horde and the Alliance have a great war. And at the end of this, the realms are finally ripped open. Zuvul takes matters into his own hands. With Sargeras having failed, Zuvul has to take matters into his own hands. It's not hard to imagine that beings that can see 1,000 truths would understand. In order for Zuvul to be defeated, the veil between reality and death must be shattered. In order for this to happen, Sargeras needs to be stopped. Sargeras cannot be successful in his plight. In order to bring him low, they need him to gain strength. So, we send Argus. Argus takes down the Arbiter. This leads to the strengthening of Zuvul. Zuvul, now feeling more confident than ever, directs Sylvanas to rip open the Maw. This leads to the mortals venturing out. Ultimately, we kill Zuvul and stop his domination. If I am correct, Zuvul's biggest fear is the old gods. And why is that? Because that's Sargeras' biggest fear. It's Sargeras' biggest fear because the Nathrezim, who was created by Denathrius but served Zuvul, told Sargeras about the Void threat. It is entirely conceivable that the Void threat that they told Sargeras about is the exact threat that scared Zuvul into betraying his own brothers and sisters. Zuvul then focuses on Azeroth, trying to take her down. Perhaps because she is already corrupted. she is already corrupted. We know because Accolonn told us at the end of Ulduar. Accolonn wants to re-originate the planet because corruption levels are uncomfortably high on Azeroth already. Of course, we've stopped all of it. Every single time. And from where I'm sitting, all of the things we've done, every action we have taken, seems to have played into the hands of the old gods. Because it seems as if we're constantly just taking out the threats of the old gods. The old gods clearly do not want Azeroth to die. They want Azeroth to live. In fact, Azeroth is an extremely important planet for them. And we're constantly taking out the threats that seek to destroy Azeroth. Every action seems to bring the old gods closer to their penultimate victory. Remember that the old gods speak on multiple occasions of the lanterns that need to be darkened to ultimately light the Master's way. It says, 5 lanterns now darkened, the light they seek will light the Master's way. For the old gods, the Masters are the Void Lords. Their deaths could ultimately have served as a weakening of the veil between the Voidlands and the Great Beyond. This is why they had to die. But they first had to be big enough. Kind of like an Argus situation. A smaller, more nascent Titan-level Argus would probably not have been able to take down the Arbiter. But a full-grown, void-infused, hatred-filled Argus, now that can take down an Arbiter. What if the same is true for the Old Gods? Remember, the Old Gods are fragments of the Void Lords. They are in themselves only servants of the Greater Master. What if their ultimate job here in the Great Beyond is to grow big and strong, and then upon their deaths, rip open the void so that the Void Lords can ultimately return? Because they do state consistently that the Masters will return. Not that the Masters will come for the first time, not that the Masters will arrive, but that the Masters will return. You can only return somewhere if you've already been there. For example, I can't return to America. I've never been there. I can go there, but I can't return there. I can, however, return to the shop, which is where I'm going now to go buy food. Because I'm hungry. And also because the power's going out soon. So, it just makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, if I convinced you of anything, if you agree with me, or even if you think it was just very interesting, please remember to hit the like button. It does help out the channel a ton. Also, remember, you can be one of the cool people on the screen right now by simply clicking the link and becoming a patron or a YouTube channel member today. The links are in the description down below. You can also join us over on Twitch, where we live stream whenever my electricity allows it. As always, ladies and gentlemen, please be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam. Alright, so as I already explained, the original sort of fuck, I have to redo that because I can't remember. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? At the end of the day, the Whispers of Yogg-Saron's puzzle box even says that even death may die. No, I fucked that up. Alex, screw it. Cancel that. We'll start again.